Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 909 Gaming. I want to do a video for The Walking Dead Road to Survival, and this is called Scopely Odds Revealed. And I don't think I'm going to do this as a rant, but I definitely want to have a discussion around it because someone just posted this and I had to read it several times. So I want to hit on a couple of the highlights and then leave it up for you guys to sort of analyze and talk about it because, as I've said on many occasions, I don't write code, I don't know how to do hacks, but there are a lot of people a lot more talented than I am. So I'm going to go through a little bit of this post and I'll give the credit to White Tigress 1, who actually posted it a couple hours ago. So the first couple paragraphs is basically just, it's kind of gamer talk. It's speaking about the process and a little bit of the history of why they decided to do this. But basically, process of working on the code, they got an interest and they wanted to create a hack for the game to find out how the code works. So basically what they're saying is you can't really understand it unless you create something to sort of get involved in it. So I kind of get you there. And like I said before, I'm not huge on this, but if somebody's out there looking for a way to understand it and it shines a little more light and a little bit more relevance to it, then that's really kind of what I'm after. So I'm going to skip down just a little bit. So okay, here's where we start seeing the code loaded. Looks like the exact same code. So here's what I found. It's actually the second time I'm writing this. All right, kind of get that. So it's basically talking about a input number. So for reasons I can't comprehend, there's a function that appears to generate a random number, and 80% of the code in it is completely worthless and does nothing. So there's a little bit of an opinion. Maybe there's some relevance to it, maybe there's not, but we'll kind of get on. So they're making the assumption to say there's a target number or a roll. So in a random drawing of 64 characters, you start on 32. So that's the midpoint. But what has to happen, based on what they've seen with this hack over and over again, is you need to beat that target number over and over again for your odds in order to increase. So you'd have to win basically 6 times in a row in order to get that chance. But that's not really the way it works, what they're saying, because the lower your number, the better chance you have of getting a higher character. So and this is on a basis of, say, 100,000 point system, and this is what they're going to get at a little bit later. So you got to read through a little bit of the red tape here to fully understand it. So if there's a random number between 0 and 100,000, and if the odds are perfectly even, your target would be 50,000. So it'd be right in the middle. But here's where it gets a little bit tricky, is they're saying there's this curve that Scopely can put on with any contest. So if the curve is 43,000, then that's going to change what you need in order to beat it. So they could lower this curve to make your number always go above it or always go below it. So you could start with a curve of 90,000. If there's some event that they want to be extremely rare, they can manipulate it and say, well, you're going to start at 90,000. There's no way you're going to beat this number. Your roll is just going to be impossible. So let's get to that in a minute and talk a little bit about that's a little bit of conjecture, how they change the odds, and because we don't know all of that, depending on the event, they could shift the odds left and right. But here's what he was able to do with this particular roll. So, or she, it's White Tigress. So, so assuming it's from 0 to 100,000, then what they did was they set the target number, which, remember, the lower, the better. So 0 is ideal. So if you think about a 100-sided die, and you roll, or 100,000 sided die, and you roll 100,000 and you get a 0, you get the best character. If you get from a 0 to a 300, then you get the best character. But then that's where it starts getting a little bit shady. Somewhere in between, I guess, 300 or 400 is where you start getting not the best character. So with that being said, that means your odds would be 300 out of 100,000, which is going to be, what, 1/3 of 1%, which is a lot of what people are promoting. So here's a little bit of the way they went through and they did their rolls. So when they set the target number at 400, then 400 no longer got them and this is the current event, no longer got them the best Glenn that's out there. So when they set the target at 350, then they still got the second best character that's out there. So you get the green Glenn, right? So then when they raised the target up to 525, green Glenn. When they got up to 600, they no longer got any Glenn, and they got a 5-star Lee. So they got a completely different character. So based on these stats, what they're saying is that the odds are less than 0.35%. But if you add what the other Glenn is, and this is where you get into some of that Scopely language, like what are the odds? Are the odds of getting a Glenn the 2 times plus the 3 times? Is the 5-star plus the 4-star? What is all of that going on? And here's a little bit of kind of the proof in the pudding. So he says, oh, when I got to 4-star at 8K. So once he got up to about and set the target number instead of 400, 500, 600, 700, he said, all right, let me set the target at 8,000. So at 8,000, there were 4 stars. So who knows when the 3 stars kick in? So if the target number is 10,000, then that could possibly mean that you have a 90% chance of getting something that's not a 4 or 5 star. And then you would have somewhere between 1,000 to maybe 8 or 9,000 that's your 4-star range. So that would be that 7 or 8%, and then that 1% or lower than 1% would be your 5-star. So I know it's a lot of different mathematical equations that's in there, and this is the best that I could kind of read through all of this stuff and figure it out. So I'm interested to see what you guys have to think. Hopefully someone from Scopely actually watches this as well too, because they've been very mum on the topic. And in fairness, maybe they don't explain it because it's too confusing to explain. Maybe they don't. A lot of game makers don't promote their odds. However, if the masses knew and they knew they were continually buying something that is less than 1/3 of 1%, then it would stand to reason that people aren't going to buy it. Now, with that being said, I have seen people with 4 and 5 stars on their team. So obviously, some people are getting a bigger bang for their buck. I mean, those people are getting 4 and 5 stars, 4 and 5 stars. They may have a 5% success rate or 6% success rate. So I guess that's going to be balanced against the people who, like myself, I've never, gotten it in one of the premier events. I've always gotten my 5 stars out of something that is the lower event. So, so far to date, I don't know how many pack openings that is total, 500, 600 pack openings I've done. Never gotten a 5-star out of a promotional contest that Scopely's got going on. So who knows? I mean, read through this post a little bit more. I'll scroll through from the top a little bit slower just so you guys, you can take time to take a look at it. I didn't come up with this. So as stated before, this was someone else's research. So, how it works, you can go through and look to understand it a little bit more. But I'm interested in see what you guys have to think. And, here's the question for you guys. If you knew without a shadow of a doubt that the odds of getting the best character in the game were less than 1/3 of 1%, would you continue to buy the packs? And because I see a lot of people, and look, I don't ask you guys for screenshots, but so many people log on and say, I opened 3 packs and I got it. I opened 4 packs and I got it. So that would lend some relevance to the fact that there are people with higher odds than other people, especially if some people continue to get it, which puts us back in square number one. That is there any RNG at all, or does Scopely have the ability to blacklist certain players, certain servers during certain contests? So thanks everyone for listening. I'm interested to see what you guys think about this post and what you think about the overall odds in general. My name is Killshot, and we will speak to you all soon. Peace.